Hi, and welcome to the Bourne Historical Society's Aptucxet Fairy Grove. This is our Merry Month of May celebration, and it's the kickoff to what we hope will be a tradition at Aptucxet. We're going to be building fairy houses together, and we're telling the story of fairies as fairies, gnomes, and other magical creatures. And so we're really having today be a celebration of nature, a celebration of the imagination, and of fun and of whimsy. And we're encouraging our young visitors to take a nature walk. And when they're out there identifying different plants and different trees, and when they come back from that nature walk, they're going to join us and they're going to build their own little creations made only of natural materials, of bark, sticks, wood. We've got moss available for them, shells, little houses that would potentially attract magical creatures. And we're using this as a way to encourage children to get out into nature and to know that they have a role in making the environment a lovely place for all living creatures. So we're hoping that that after today, kids will come back and visit their fairy houses and continue to build them, and that this becomes a tradition here at Aptucxet.
Some flowers are big, and some flowers are little.
Now, just take another big one.
Do you like little flowers or
right
big
here.
flowers?
Squeeze it just a little bit.
Little flowers or big flowers? Big flowers.
And now you have, look, you have a mom flower and baby flower.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
So some trees have branches that go straight across like this. We call that opposite. Some have branches that are one above the other. We call that alternating. And then we have some that spin out around, and we call that a whirl. Okay? So we're looking for some specific things when we go out into the forest. Like a holly leaf? These make great fairy house fences because they stand up straight and stiff by themselves. Sticks are a very important part of a fairy house structure, right? We want to make sure that it's a big, strong structure. We have more lichens. Does anyone want a nice big piece of lichen? Me! Debbie, you already got mine.
Now, where can you create a fairy house? In the woods, yes. Outside, because that's where fairies live. A flower is so pretty. That a fairy will love that flower. Try to find a place away from any busy pathways or roads, and at the base of a tree or the side of a rock will be just right. And sometimes you can find a place in low branches of a tree or a bush. Close to the ground is best. Fairies are magical creatures, and they're creatures of nature. So we want to welcome the fairies to move into Aptucxet. And in order to welcome the fairies, we have to provide them a home that is magical and that's natural. And they don't like any sort of man-made things, and they especially don't like any sort of trash or litter in the forest. So yours has wings. And so when we're out there building our fairy houses, we're doing two things. You're looking to be a guardian of nature by clearing up anything that doesn't belong there. And anytime you're in a forest, we would ask you to clear up anything that belongs there, because fairies could move into that area too. So we are constantly at Aptucxet trying to make sure our forests are clear and ready for fairies.
Hi, my name is Wendy Bagley. I am a volunteer here at the Aptucxet Trading Post and the complex, but I am also a docent at the Plymouth Howland House, and I'm practicing my spinning techniques. Basically what was done before industry began. Everyone that had sheep had to comb their wool after shearing it and washing it, and had to somehow make it into yarn so that they could have their clothing and their blankets and all that to keep them warm through the winter. So I'm reviving this technique by taking some of my washed wool here, and I'm drawing it out and letting the wheel spin the yarn, and this flywheel pulls it into my spool. So as I spin, I draw the wool. You can see the very fine fibers all connecting and grabbing each other. And then I'm letting the wool be pulled into the spinning bobbin. And as that bobbin gets full, I need to move the yarn that's been made onto the next, just like a bobbin for a sewing machine, it needs to be moved to stack up. And to supply the full bobbin would be one skein of yarn. So this 1/4 pound, which is one of the spools here, might be plied and combined with another yarn to make a 2-ply yarn, which would be more for knitting. So it's got a nice spring to it. It's the natural wool from the sheep, and it comes in both white as a natural and this beautiful brown shade as a natural. And sometimes I might even spin the brown with the white and make like a twist of yarn that is brought together like this. So it's all done in this sort of pre-woven process or pre-knitted. So a skein would be made from this, which is a long hank of yarn to wash and then maybe even dye. So the yarn would be either dyed in this natural form or dyed as a skein of yarn and used by knitters. I do the weaving as well, so I would take this yarn and make it into long lengths and put it onto a loom. And then maybe use wool as well as the weft, or maybe some cotton to make a lighter weight. So this is basically how yarn was made, way back to where cotton was even spun. Very, very, very fine. This is considered a very thick yarn because so many fibers are going in at once. Whereas if I could draw this out, I could get thinner and thinner and thinner, where they measured the amount of line that was drawn to like a mile of spinning would equal a certain amount of length of yarn to be knitted. So they came up with increments of how much is spun and how much is on the spool as a counting method. But this is basically that what I have learned is that people would have sheep and they would do their spinning all winter, card the wool, and a weaver would come to their home and do a lot of that weaving during the summer months while they were doing their gardening. So they did a lot of the spinning. Every household would have had a spinning wheel, and the women, or mostly the women, would have been spinning, and then a lot of the men had been the weavers. So a lot of this was done just as part of the daily chore. You just sat, so I can even just look at you, or I could read, or I could, watch the birds and watch things grow, but it became just second nature to most people in that era of the colonial times. And natural dyes were used we had roots of madder, we had flowers from the marigold and onion skins, and anything that they could find to dye would be used as well. Some of the barks that they did and roots that they dug. Walnut hulls were boiled down and used as dark colors, and so they had ways of making shades. Lichens were used, mushrooms were used as for the dyeing. But basically they had to make the yarn, and this is our method of using this invention of spinning and drawing the yarn in at the same time. So it's very relaxing. You're just you're playing with it. Now if I break that off, I just grab it right back in again. So it's sort of a plying method. So if it breaks, it just gets brought right back in again. So the better I have it organized, this yarn that's coming out in a little long kind of rolag here, that's the longer I can spin. So if I have yarn prepared for me, and I think what they had done in the old days is they would prepare this long combed section so that they could sit for a while. They'd have a basket of this long carded wool ready to go. So the whole evening would be spinning, whereas the evening before might have been carding. in preparing the yarn, the wool. And then after that, they'd have to wind it into a skein and then wash it and weight it, and there they could make something out of it. So this adds up, and now so I've got a layer below it that went from one to the other to the other, and then I go back again. So it increments build up till this is full. Like I said, this would be a skein of yarn, which is 1/4 pound. It's just a kind of neat measurement that I can see. And it's something that you have to practice, and I've taught spinning. And the main thing is to trust the fact that it has to leave your hands and you need to let go of the yarn. Most of the ladies that I try to teach, you draw it out, but you have to let go. And that is the main thing. You're holding it, and I say, well, let go, let go. If I don't let go of this yarn, watch what will happen. It kinks up into a little noodle. So if I hold on to it, it gets over twisted. But to let go of it, and what it is a tension of how quickly it gets spun and how quickly it draws in. So there's a variable to where I'm drawing it out and letting it go in. If I hold on to it, it gets over twisted. If I let it go in too quickly, it doesn't get spun enough. So there's kind of you have to play with that sort of tensions of the spinning wheel and this cord here and the fly wheel that goes inside and pulls it into the spool. So then when I come to the end, I draw it out. I can keep drawing it out. A few little pieces of grass in there. This is from the sheep on the islands, so it's been crudely washed and carded. So it still has a lot of the natural properties in it. My hands are feeling softer as I spin. The lanolin that's natural in the yarn.
And how about this thing? You know what this is for?
Soup.
No.
No.
Skins. Way more important than
Skins.
No. Notice it's, I mean, this is the way the fireplace would be. This was found, they found that it was just, I don't even know what it looks like. It's a copper kettle.
Yeah, there's a hole in it.
They found, and there's a hole, you know, there's a, it goes deep, it goes down in. It was for brewing their beer and ale.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's very
Because they did not trust the water. And this root, this is a scratch and sniff activity.
Oh.
Yeah, it works. This root is the root of a tree that grows in this area. It's native to this part of the world. It's something that they would use to flavor the water that they were brewing for their beer and ale.
Is that the root beer root from the south?
She gets the prize.
Got the 3 leaves, like a mitten football.
Oh, you are good.
Oh.
Yeah,
Do you remember what it's called?
It starts with an S.
It does start with an
Sassafras.
S. Not sarsaparilla, but you're close.
Sassafras?
Sassafras.
Oh, that's what I
You
meant.
got it. Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That's what everybody says. The different furs that would be traded. The beaver. And you can touch those. You can pass those around if you like. And this is what the string of wampum would look like. It would be a fabric of beads, and it would be a certain quantity, a certain amount would be given to it. The value of the beads, the white beads were worth less than the purple beads. The purple being only found in the quahog shell.
Sure.
So you have to, it's more scarce and more difficult to use. And this is what they leave on, as we said before.
No, it's only like a minute. So, the colonists asked for permission to trade. They got it.
They got it.
So they trapped, or they had trappers come to them and
No,
they came here. How did that work?
What happened was that it was the Native Americans would bring the furs. They were the experts. They were the expert trappers in preparing of the skins.
Sure.
They did. The beaver was the most popular and the most desired in Europe. They had depleted their supply in Europe, actually, in England particularly, because of the high demand for this fur. This is the beaver, and the raccoon, and the other one was the otter, which was prevalent here too. They also had mink, and of course the deer skin.
So would we sail the pelts back to England, or would England come pick
Yes.
them up?
No, we would have to get them.
Yeah, okay.
That was part of the deal. And this is how they paid back
The debt.
They paid back their debt. The trading post was in existence from the 1627 contract, first business contract in the New World, till about 1660, when the debt had been paid off and there was no longer any need. This
Took
was
them that long to profit. Yeah.
yeah.
But it was
It did.
due in
It did.
1626.
It was due in 1626, and they weren't able to do it, so they renewed the contract, but it did take them a long time to do it. Of course, the important thing here was the Dutch influence, because the Dutch had control of the trade in the Hudson River Valley area.
Okay.
And they knew that something was going on here, and they sent an emissary, Isaac de Rassier, was sent by the governor of that colony, and they went to the Plymouth colony, talked to them there, and visited here to see what was going on, because this was new, to have a new contract here, to have control of the trade. That meant that they couldn't interfere.
That's still
So
amazing.
they-
I mean, it's a
isn't
huge
it?
distance between them.
Oh, I know.
How would they hear?
Exactly. Yeah, the riverways, they traveled to, the riverway, the
Word of
waterways.
mouth
And they, yeah, I know.
It's not like, oh, I'm gonna run up to Bourne and
Yeah,
discuss it.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. That reminds me of have you been to the windmill to see the
No.
Wampanoag
Yeah.
exhibit? The Wampanoag people have prepared a wonderful, it's called Plymouth 400 is coming up.
Oh.
And people are working on, ways to celebrate. And they have done an amazing interactive display, video and pictures to tell the story of the Wampanoag people and their relationship with the colonists and how it worked. Theirs starts in 1614, and it has gone up to the Great Dying, when they were not totally wiped out, obviously, but many of their people died because of disease that was brought, that they did not have the immunity for. So it was an amazing situation. And this today you can see it.
Oh, we'll have to go see
It's
that.
up there.
Yeah, it's right up at the-
It'll be here for a month. Yeah, it'll be here from now till the end of June.
Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Yeah.
Really
No
appreciate it.
problem.